Coming in at number 10 is none other than the many inconsistencies of her story and how they've all lined up so far in the trial. More importantly, the timelines of the events themselves. Heard has pretty much been exposed on a regular basis now about the amount of times her stories just did not add up. One incident in particular came from her lawyer, Elaine Beat, during an opening statement where she mentions the makeup products Heard had to use constantly to cover up the marks and bruises of the alleged physical violence she claims to have suffered at the hands of Depp. Now, this is known to be a very common tactic in many DV relationships, except for the fact that in Heard's case, this was all seemingly a lie, because the company she had mentioned in court, Milani Cosmetics, stepped forward to inform the public that the exact product Heard claimed to have used as her scapegoat hadn't existed at the time of her making this statement originally, and was later released the following year. Although this could have merely been an innocent mistake on Heard and her legal team's end with a mix of a brand and products, this is still quite a messy puncture in her already leaky narrative thus far. Sliding into 9th spot for today is Heard's former allegations tied to her previous relationship before Depp with ex-girlfriend Tazia Van Ree. Now, this may come as a shock to many, but it has been noted by many sources that Heard was in fact physically violent towards Tazia during their relationship. This rocky situation took an even sharper turn when the police were called and Heard was later arrested following the incident. Although Heard was initially released on 2 years of probation, this did not stop her from going on to claim that the officer in question who dealt with her arrest was indeed quote-unquote and misogynistic, which had quickly later been debunked following the police officer's Facebook post clearing the air. It has since been made known that the officer is also a part of the LGBT community, as she identifies as a lesbian, turning Heard's former statement into nothing but yet another falsified point. If this still doesn't scream karma to you, I'm not quite sure what will. Our number 8 reason for today is on a bit of a lighter note than the previous ones, but nonetheless still just as mind-boggling, because Heard has been proven to contradict herself on even the smallest things, most recently on whether or not she was already a fan of Depp upon meeting and later falling in love with him. During one of her testimonies in court, Heard can be seen saying that she was quote-unquote didn't really know who he was, and I wasn't a fan of his work. But this is an entirely different statement than the one she had mentioned in a casual The Rum Diary interview later down the road, where she quote-unquote says, "I mean, who isn't a fan of Johnny's? That's a given." Even later adding onto her former statement by saying, "He's been a cultural icon and a talented actor for as long as I can remember." Now, I don't know about you all, but those two declarations seem very contradicting to each other in my personal opinion, and neither of the two have yet to be challenged as to which one is actually accurate. Moving on to reason number 7 is Heard and her temporary restraining order against Depp. This order was placed into motion only days after their file for divorce on Heard's end, where she had gone to a courthouse to seek the order against her then ex-husband due to an alleged major fight the two had engaged in a week prior to this incident. According to Heard, the cops were called to action and Depp wasn't allowed within 100 feet of her. But here's where things get a little shaky though, because words from the cops who were on the scene at the time had since admitted that there was no physical evidence of violence on Heard having taken place following the fight, despite Heard's original claims. It was later brought up that a shocking audio record came about shortly afterwards, basically breaking down Heard showing up to Depp's hotel room in San Francisco at the time, and quote-unquote begging Depp to talk and cuddle with her. It is also hinted that Heard had potentially pressed for further physical engagement, but in short, nothing of that has said to be particularly true. And our number 6 point for today is the Kate Moss, JD, and AH situation, where Heard admits to having hit Depp for the first time the same day she made it known she was afraid that Depp would have pushed her sister down the stairs. She went on to talk about the fear she felt over this situation on the stand. But things got a little weird when out of nowhere, Heard threw this wild allegation Depp's way by bringing Moss into the story, who was proven to be unhurt in the end. It has since been known that they would fight a lot, but that she was never physically injured or hurt in any way from this, and that Moss and Depp do remain as friends to this day. Coming in for top 5 at number 5 is the topic of Amber Heard's ACLU donation, or more like her not donation, because according to the ACLU, Heard had paid less than half of what she was originally promised to give them. But things get a little problematic because according to the company, due to Heard's financial struggles back then, Depp had to donate an additional $100,000, and another $500,000 was rumoredly given by Elon Musk, who she was alleged to be seeing after her breakup with Depp. Number 4 lies the cheating allegations against Heard with Elon Musk. Following my previous point, Heard admitted to quote-unquote filling in the space with Musk after her previous relationship with Depp. As the pre-recording deposition played on Wednesday, April 27th, Heard also claimed she wasn't in love with Musk after Depp's lawyers read their text exchange. Heard originally sparked these romance speculations amid her divorce with Depp, to which the businessman wasted no time in opening up his feelings of the young actress to the world. It only took the pair 5 months of being apart from one another for them to briefly rekindle the romance before calling it quits for good later that that year. In third place for today's video, Amber and James Franco, moreover the suspicious of cheating on Heard's end while she was still with Depp. It is said that the incident took place in New York in May 2014 when Heard was filming The Adderall Diaries alongside Franco at the time. Things became entirely messy here when Heard had accused Depp of kicking her to the floor following his allegation against her and Franco, going so far as to say Depp quote-unquote hated James Franco. Moving on to the second place point for today is Kate James and her testimony that Amber is basically the worst. Her former assistant made claims that she was overall difficult to work with and filled with rage on a regular basis. James had gone on to say that although she has no evidence of having ever seen Heard get physical with Depp, she was a victim to Heard's angry outbursts and blind fits of rage on several occasions. According to James, Heard once allegedly spit in her face after she had asked the actress for a raise. Following the statement, Heard was also accused of sending incoherent text messages as early as 2 a.m. in the morning. When asked about Depp, on the other hand, James really only had positive things to say, noting that he is a typically calm and shy dude, like a quote-unquote total southern gentleman she proceeded to finalize. And finally, the number one reason why practically the entire internet is hashtag Team Johnny is the shocking audio confession from early last year, where Heard admits to having hit Depp after explicitly saying she did not. Now this comes following the former couple trying to work through their marital issues back in 2015. Still, this issue has now been proven to be true, given the hard evidence shaped in the form of the seemingly explosive audio confession mentioned earlier. If Amber has lied about all these 10 things today, who's to say she hasn't been lying about so much more?
Coming at number 10, the tissue. In a seemingly innocuous moment during the defamation trial of Johnny Depp, Amber appeared to wipe her nose with a tissue. However, fans around the world swear that she is not blowing her nose into the tissue, but rather sniffing something tucked inside instead. As such, wild assumptions and theories began running amok on social media, and the video quickly went viral. In a tweet, one user shared the video clip and captioned it with, "Yo, I've done some ish in my day, but I've never had the stones to do in a courtroom." However, as many people have pointed out already, it's not probable that she was doing this. Security would be patting down every single person going to that courtroom, and on top of that, there are very harsh penalties for consuming or carrying illegal substances in a courthouse. I really doubt Amber's team would be okay trying to help her conceal that. What's a more plausible answer though is that she was sniffing a kind of Vicks vapor rub to help her eyes tear up more during her testimony. This would then in turn make it look like she was crying and therefore help convince the jury that she means what she says. But before we jump into our next point, make sure you tap that like button to show some love to the channel. In at number 9, the flinch. After Amber Heard finished with her testimony the other day, there was a bizarre moment when everyone was leaving the courtroom. Amber appeared to actually flinch or recoil as she came somewhat close to Johnny Depp while leaving, even though there were a ton of people standing in between them. In fact, he wasn't very close at all, but because he walked somewhat in her direction, she flinched like a soccer player trying to draw a penalty. It was A1 acting, if you ask me. Perfectly timed given the weight of her harrowing testimony. The actress told the Virginia courthouse that her ex-husband had S.A.'d her with a liquor bottle and then threatened to end her life in March of 2015 while they were in Australia. As they were leaving, Depp, who as you know is partially blind in one eye, stood up and simply moved in the same direction as the Aquaman star, which is when Heard seemed to physically shudder and look terrified, even taking a step back as courtroom officials immediately turned towards Depp and put their hands up as if to warn him to stay back. Johnny Depp then turned away and appeared to shrug and smile as if he had no idea why they were all in a huff. In at number 8, objection. Some of the most popular words during the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial have been objection or hearsay, and in a bizarre moment all caught on camera, Amber Heard's lawyer completely misses the mark. As he was cross-examining Ben King, Heard's attorney Benjamin Rottenborn got a little too flustered. At first his question was objected to, and then the judge sustained the objection. He then tried to ask the question again, but when Mr. King started to answer, he randomly says, objection, hearsay, to his own question. And although it's not Amber Heard doing something weird, it still has to be mentioned on this list. The fact that it was her own attorneys doing this really highlighted how unprepared they were for this trial, at least mentally. In at number 7, do you know the Muffin Man? In another strange case of cross-examination gone wrong, one of Amber Heard's lawyers, Elaine Redhoff, kept questioning psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry in the most bizarre way. She was absolutely fixated on the muffins that Dr. Curry says that she brought for Miss Heard. There was a lot of grasping for straws during this questioning. She attempted to involve Dr. Curry's husband in all this to prove that she had leaked sensitive information to him. She tried to suggest that Dr. Curry had drinks and dinner with Mr. Depp to prove that there was some sort of bias there, and then she kept focusing on these muffins that she gave to Miss Heard. Dr. Curry explained that she frequently brings muffins into her office. On the day that Amber Heard came in, her husband was aware that she was meeting with a celebrity, and so she asked him to pick up the muffins for her. He brought them back to their home, and then Dr. Curry brought them into the office like she always does. She then clarified that she said to Miss Heard that her husband had purchased the muffins for today, but didn't do so as some sort of special present for Amber. Like like her attorney was attempting to suggest. Needless to say, her constant questions about the muffins led to countless memes involving the gingerbread man from Shrek. Coming number 6, similar styles. Clinical psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry also gave a possible explanation as to why Amber Heard chose to dress just like her ex-husband during their trial, and it's most likely due to her suffering from borderline personality disorder, or BPD for short. Dr. Curry was also called to the stand and explained that people with BPD will often have identity issues which typically result in people dressing like the people they want to be around. Dr. Curry explained to the jury, they take on the personality of the people they want to be around, the way they dress, interests, the way they talk. On the first day of the trial, for example, Depp was seen wearing a Gucci tie with a bumblebee on it, and then just 2 days later, Amber was spotted wearing a very similar tie which also had a bee on it. Social media users also pointed out that Depp donned a gray suit for the first day of the trial, and then Amber could be also seen wearing a pants and shirt combo of the same color to the courthouse on April 12th. Not convinced? Well, on April 18th, Depp showed up to court with his long hair pulled back into a ponytail, and then the following day, Amber had her hair done in a very similar way. In another example, Depp wore glasses during many days of the trial, and Amber Heard was also seen using a similar pair. Coming number 5, stolen movie lines. Okay, Twitter is convinced that Amber Heard had quoted multiple movies during her testimony. In a Twitter thread posted on May 5th, 2022, the Twitter user claimed that Heard had stolen from film, television, and books for her defense. A Twitter user posted these screenshots of the comparison and said, if you were watching Amber Heard and felt like some of those lines felt strangely familiar, they are. She's stealing from film and TV and books. Here's a thread of what I have seen so far. And so far, the tweet has been retweeted more than 4,000 times and liked by over 14,000 people. Among the evidence she presented, the Twitter user claimed that the quote from the actress of Drinks Lots of Tea was stolen by Julia Roberts' character in Notting Hill. Another part of her testimony, she said he'd rather cut off his hand, which she claimed was directly lifted from the drama series Mildred Pierce. Perhaps the one that took off the most though in all of this was the screenshot within the thread where the user claimed that Amber's opening monologue in her testimony is the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley. In that post, the user claims, her entire beginning monologue is literally the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley, actual quotes from the movie, and featured a character who showered gifts then mysteriously disappeared. The thing with Johnny, it's like the sun shines on you and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. When you have his attention, you feel like you're the only person in the world. That's why everybody loves him so much. Coming number 4, the bottle. In this brief footage that was captured and plastered all over TikTok, Amber Heard can be seen tightening a bottle and then placing it awkwardly into her pocket right as a courtroom official almost catches her. This video sparked mass speculation that she was trying to sneak booze into the courtroom. One user who tweeted the video captioned it with, is Amber Heard drinking alcohol in the courtroom and hiding it from the sheriff? Who takes a cap off and puts it back in their pocket so fast? The speculation about her drinking in court came after authorities reportedly banned the use of bottled drinks inside of the courtroom. Law and Crime host Jesse Weber made the announcement and said, we were just informed we will no longer be allowed to bring bottled drinks in court. The last time we were given this instruction was when Johnny Depp first took the stand. Coming number 3, crocodile tears. Depp's fans have been flooding social media accusing her of being a bad actress and fake crying, following her testimony at their Blockbuster defamation trial. She spent 2 days detailing Depp's alleged attacks, saying her former spouse slapped her across the face and conducted a cavity search to find illegal substances that he believed she was hiding from him. However, Depp's supporters have slammed the actress on Twitter and TikTok, claiming that she was faking her testimony because she failed to produce a single tear. Andy Signor even tweeted, oh my god, I'm dying. Amber Heard is the worst actor ever. This fake incoherent performance is sickening. All over the place. Too many details, fake sighs, forced tears, and looks to the jury. This is an embarrassment to survivors everywhere. With poet Joseph Massey adding, I watched a little of the Amber Heard testimony today. How does someone cry without tears? Is it a medical condition? Whenever I cry or see someone else crying, it's a real mess that requires multiple tissues if not a small mop. Coming number 2, caught smirking. Amber Heard has failed to present any actual evidence that proves Johnny was attacking her, but the actor has presented plenty of evidence that she was horrible to him. In a set of tapes recorded by Johnny, Depp is asking Amber Heard about a time in which she hurt him with a door and proceeded to punch him straight in the face. She apologized for hitting him with the door, but she is on record saying that she meant to actually clock him in the face. There's a video of her deposition in which she is listening to the tape. In the recorded exchange, you can see a confused Johnny while trying to ask Amber what she was apologizing for. Initially, she says she is sorry for punching him, but then she clarifies that she's only sorry about the door. She then goes on to say that she meant to punch him in the face after Johnny described the entire scenario of how things happened. Throughout the whole time that she was listening, there was a clear grin on her face as if she was almost enjoying it when she recalled that moment. And last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Amber's admission of guilt. In April of last year, Johnny Depp had filed a defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard for $50 million after she wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post about the duress that she was suffering from just being with him. As a result, Depp was fired from his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and his reputation in Hollywood was severely tarnished. However, Depp's lawyers received a bombshell of an audio confession where Heard admits to hitting Johnny. In the audio, she says, I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched. Later adding, I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
A longtime friend of Johnny Depp, Gina Deuters, has a spicy perspective about how Amber Heard actually found joy in the altercations between the couple. Ooh, drama. Let's talk about it. So basically, Gina Deuters, wife of Stephen Deuters, who has been a longtime business partner of Johnny for decades, spoke on the whole debacle in an interview with Page Six. In that interview, she said, I think there is a part of Amber that believes fighting is passion. It means there's sparks, fireworks in the relationship. Amber is someone who is always used to getting what she wants. She is quite entitled, and I think she made big demands in their divorce. When Amber was denied those demands, I feel she was like, I'm not gonna get what I want, so I'm gonna destroy you. She also called her, and I quote, a sociopathic show pony, which I'm going to start using in arguments from now on. For a marriage that lasted 15 months, it somehow just gets worse and worse. If only a statement like that could offer some kind of help to Johnny and his legal team. With Amber back on the stand for her cross-examination this week, we are back in the action to witness Amber being put on the spot. It'll be interesting to see if she gets caught in a lie. She's also apparently expected to talk about her past, aggressive relationship with ex-girlfriend Tasia Van Ree. I'm just really hoping we don't have to all awkwardly sit here again through the payoff of all those acting classes. I'm kidding. Hey, maybe there's some truth to what she said. Maybe there's some truth to what she says through those tears. Maybe her dog really did step on a bee, I don't know.